What's up, guys? Welcome back to Learn to Code an API in JavaScript. And this is the second video. And in this video, we have three main points on our little task list here. And we actually have a fourth one, but that's only if we have time, because I'm trying to keep these videos around 10 minutes long just to split up the content. The first point on this video is that we're going to serve our to-do list app. That's the app that we built in the previous two videos, not including the API video, of course. The second point is to create our first post route. That is a route on our API that accepts a post request. And the third point is that we're going to connect our to-do button or our add button in the to-do list app. So when you're creating a new to-do list item, that item is also going to be sent to the API. Cool stuff, right? So the fourth point is, if we have time, we're also going to connect to a database. Otherwise, we'll move that to the next video. Great, so let's just jump into it. So I have our to-do list project right here, same as before. We can actually open it up using terminal. And I'm going to open up the project in Visual Studio Code. Now, if you don't have the project, you can of course clone it. And it's right here. And you can clone that, and then you can switch over to the branch API. You can check out the last video more about what we did in that video. Great. All right, so we have the project, and the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to serve our app. Now, our app, if you remember, is now inside the public folder, inside the source folder. You can see the structure right here. We have source, we have public, and this is the main server right here, the server file. So to do this, we're going to use something called static, that is in Express. I think it's right here. Yeah, right here. So Express has a method called static on it, and that accepts a path to whatever folder that is, and then it's going to serve all those files inside of that and create a directory tree for that as well. So, and to use that method, we use use. Now, use in Express language is actually what's called a middleware. Now, middleware is a middleware function that is run throughout the whole server for each and every request, basically. It's something that's run in between, thus it's called a middleware function. And it looks like this. You have API, which is our actual instance of Express, use, which is a method, and then it's a callback function inside of that. Then you get rec, which is request, res, response, and next, which is actually moving on to the next middleware or the next route or whatever next action it is. So for example, if we wanted to say hello every time somebody made a request to the app, we can simply say console log hello. Now I'm going to show you what happens if we don't do anything with the next option. So we're going to run the API, node source / index.js, API up and running. There you go. So as you can see, it just keeps loading. It's not loading anything, but we keep getting hello actually 2 times. That's because of the verification request that Chrome sets. But anyway, we get a hello log, but we don't get any result. We don't get what we wanted to get, which is hello world. And that's because we don't run the next function. Because right now, Express stops right here. So if we save that by running the next function, and we restart the API, and now visit, you're going to get hello world, and you're going to get hello. Cool. So that's very, very, very quick and basic lesson on middleware. You can check out, of course, Express.js, the documentation in the guide. There is writing middleware and using middleware. Check those out if you wanted to know more. All right. So, but we're not going to be writing our own middleware. We're going to use Express static. Now, the static uses the path, and it requires you to send the full path, like from the project and from where it is on your local machine. And instead of finding out exactly where your project is every single time, because you can move this folder around. You can use what's called, or the global variable called __ dir name or dir name, which is directory name. So that's the full path to wherever this script that you're writing on is located on your local machine, which is super, super handy. So since this is located in source and the project is located in desktop, this is going to be a path to user / max / desktop / to do / source. Yeah, whatever. And then you just add plus public. I believe you don't need a / because I think the data name includes the / on the end. Anyway, we're going to notice that. So that's pretty much it. That's all you got to do. Believe it or not. Oh, and also we can comment this out because the root route is now going to be serving our index.html file, which is located in the public folder. Cool. All right. So if we start up our script, cannot get. That's probably because you got to include the /. Let's try that. Yep, that's it. Maybe a little preparation would have solved that issue beforehand, but I like winging it on these videos. All right, cool. So now the app is actually running on our local host 3000. Super cool. And if we write something, it works, and JavaScript is there. You can complete it, you can move it back, you can delete it. And local storage should work. Yep, it works. You can refresh, it works. That's awesome. Great. So first point done, serve the app. Second point, create our first post route. And that's very simple. Since we have written our first route right here, we can basically copy that or use that as a reference to writing this new route. So first, we're going to use API, of course, but instead of using get, because this is not going to be a get request, this is going to be a post request, you write post. And that post is going to be to, let's say, because in this case, we want to send this request when we add a new item, we can call this, for example, add. And like you maybe remembered, when you run the get or post request, when you add a route, you first add the route as a string, and then you have the callback function, and that you get a request and the response. Cool. So when you send a post request to add, just for example, just to make sure that it works, we can say console log post request received. All right, cool. So if we restart the app or the API, still working. But if we were to go to add right now, there will be no, you cannot get add because it's not a get request. You need a post request. Now to send a post request, you can use curl, you can use anything, like you can build your own JavaScript, or you can use Postman, of course, which I use a lot for APIs and request testing and stuff like that. Okay, so we want to send a post request. We send that to localhost 3000 / what was it, add, yeah. Nothing else, just send that. And right now we don't get a response because we are not sending anything back, but we get post request received. And if you want to download Postman, by the way, you can just Google Postman, and that's pretty much what you get, the first result. And you just click macOS, Windows, whatever you're using, and you can start up and use that, which is awesome. Also, there's a bunch of free tools online you can Google, but use whatever works. But yeah, so to send something back when you use a post, we can just do like we did before, response.send. It works. Restart. Send the request. It works. Nice. All right, so that's the second point. We have created our first post route. Super cool stuff. We can actually remove the get for now. Okay, and the third and final point is that we're going to connect the add to do button to the API. That is the post request right here. so that we can receive it on the API end. This is going to be pretty cool. So to do that, we're going to use the JavaScript, because JavaScript is needed to send the actual post request. So let's look through the code here, and we can see that we have a add event listener right here. If we click on our add, something called add with an ID, and that's probably most likely our add button. Correct, yes. And then you get a value, and as long as the value exists, that is a string, you add the item. And add item to DOM, you clean out the item, which is probably the input field, right? Yeah, I love the fact that I have to go through my own code again. Maybe we should do some refactoring as well. Yeah, so then we add that to the array, and then data object update it. Yeah, so that's gonna, I think that's gonna save local storage again, or update local storage. Yeah, that's correct. So we should, just to make things simple, we should do a method. We should write a method for this. So let's do a comment here. So method for sending to do item to API. Function send item to API. This is production level code right here. Don't take me serious on that, please. Yeah, so send item to API, and then you just send the value into that function. We get it right here. Item, then just for kicks, we can console log the item to make sure that we get it. We can go back here. Let's do ASD. Yeah, we get ASD. Cool. Works. Now, to send a post request, you can use you can use a library. You can use fetch, for example, which is not, I think as of right now, is not working in an Explorer. It works in Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari. Yeah, most of the popular ones. But just, to make people angry, the developers angry, I'm going to use XML post request. No, XML. Jesus, I haven't used it in so long that I can't remember the full name. XML HTTP request. Yeah. And I'm gonna mix. Oh my God, I'm gonna mix. No, I'm not gonna mix them. I'm not gonna do some ECMAScript 6 stuff. All right, so use XML HTTP request, which has been in JavaScript for a long time. As I said, fetch is the new thing, and it works great. It's promise-based. Use that if you want to. I'm just going to use this for now because I like making people angry for some reason, or just to make things simple. Now, request becomes the object XML HTTP request. Then to create the request, like the actual post request, you use the method open. And that's going to be a post to whatever path. And since the path is on the same route, the same domain as we're using to host this, which is localhost, we can just do / and then add. And that's it. That opens up the post request. Yeah, and then we want to send JSON as well. So we need a body parser for Express. Yes, that's true. Just to test things out, we can do rec send item. And when you do send, that's going to actually send the request. So when you run request open, that's going to open up the request and makes it possible for you to add headers and stuff to the request. And when you run the actual send method, that's when the request is sent off to wherever the destination is. And then you can add event listeners to run once you get a response or something happens, like an error or whatever. And so load is a very simple and popular choice for this. So whenever the request loads, and that could be when it times out and when you get a response back, you get, is it response? I think it is. You get, you get an object, an event object. But we don't want to, no, we're not going to touch the event object. We're gonna use the request object, because that's going to be updated with the data that we receive back. So request.response text is what we're going to get back. Or in this case, we're not going to send anything back just yet, so we can comment that out and just say request done, and request add event listener, and we're going to use one for error as well. So if something bad happens, let's just say like shit, something bad happened. Sorry for the cuss, by the way. Okay, so very simple, very straightforward. New XML HTTP request, open a post request to add, send the item, add a event listener for loading and for the error. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, let's see. We can send back res send, it works. Actually, we can do that. Yeah, that's true. We can send that back. I love winging these videos. Okay, and then we can console log the request. We're not going to have anything in body, right? Because we're not going to use the body parser. Let's just try this and see what happens. Usually, that's literally what I do every single day I code. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the API is running. Let's say ASD, and it works. Nice. So the API sent back a response. Now, yeah, the body is undefined because we don't get anything back. So we're going to use, I think it's called body parser. Just straight up the name. Or is it express body parser? It might be express body parser. Jesus. What's it called? Like, really? Or is it with a yeah, it's with the it's with a dash in between. God damn it. Yeah, okay, cool. So we can use body parser. Install save body parser. We can install that, and no, we're not using yarn right now, maybe in the future. And we're gonna use that on the top of the API. Parser, apparently. Body parser. Should we use camel case? No, I'm not, because yeah, nope. Yes. There should be an npm link somewhere. Apparently not, because I think their documentation on npm is better. It has some more examples on using it. Oh, it was at the bottom. Sorry about that. Yeah, so they use camel case, and we're going to use camel case for that reason. Yeah, and it's a middleware like before. So API.use body parser, and we're going to use JSON. So sending JSON data back and forth, because it's very standardized. And that works the best, in my opinion. So that means that we want to set up the header as well. We might want to do that, but that means we want to send JSON data as well, the JSON string rather, to the API, because it's very important that the data matches up with what it expects to receive. So let's do the JSON object and stringify. and it's a JSON object. We're going to call this item. Yeah, for kicks. Let's just call it item. And this body parser.json is going to parse the data you get and add it to the request body parameter. Super handy stuff. Okay. So actually, instead of having to write node./src/index.js, we can actually add that command to our package.json, because there is a script key right here with an object with a test. This is pretty standard because we don't have any tests right now. You should always write tests, by the way. And we're not doing it right now, so that's not at all hypocritical. Let's do a script called API, and that's just going to do node.src/ like that. Writing faster than I can talk. Node, yeah, whatever. This is what we've been running in the console, and we're running it as a script instead. This means that instead of writing this every single time, we can do npm run API. Magic. Cool stuff. And now the API is up and running. We can go back and write ASD again. We're going to get back it works. And we're going to get an empty object. God damn it. Sorry for the cuss. This is probably because we're not setting up the request header. So request set request header, content type application/JSON. This is so that the API knows that it's going to receive JSON data and it's going to handle it as JSON data. I didn't know we had to do that, but apparently we do, because I'm so experienced with this. All right. I don't have to restart it, but I did it anyway. We can remove these. Yes, it works. Awesome. Nice. I hope it worked for you as well. Otherwise, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear enough. But it works. So we get ASD on the API. Awesome stuff. Yeah, so this was a little bit longer than 10 minutes. This is actually up in 20 minutes right now. But whatever, I'm winging these videos. But I'm sorry, we're not going to be doing the database thingy. We're going to move that to next video. And perhaps I'm going to prepare a little bit more so we can do more detailed stuff. But anyway, it works. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new. And please leave comments for suggestions, feedback. I'm super open to it. And I really appreciate every single one of you for watching. Thanks for this time, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.